Welcome everyone. It is November 4th, 2025. Sorry I didn't record this morning. The day has been completely hectic. It's about 6 at night. The market closed, and what a day we had in the charts. First, before I continue, if you are enjoying these videos, please feel free to click the like and subscribe. That will help us out, and give us any feedback in the chat. You got any questions, anything like that? Feel free to hit us up. So let's jump in. Today was a very, very interesting day. First of all, let's just kind of like pick up where we left off last time. Last time, I think we were in this section right over here. Let's see. This is a 12-hour candle. Dope. Yep. We were right around here somewhere yesterday, I believe. And one thing that I was saying was that I was looking for this target to be hit. And yeah, lo and behold, look at that. Let's take a look. Let's see where that candle hit. Man, what precision. Now, I have taken a long in this area. As you can see, this is my long. And yeah, I actually front ran it a little bit because I actually took a long up here in the yellow area, which I was talking about before. I may do that. It wasn't actually the yellow area. I was actually underneath it. But as you can see, like I mentioned before, that I would be building along. So what I did was, I believe that I entered maybe right over here, like somewhere around this candle. I think that I entered. But I initially had an order down here that hit. Now, I placed this order a while ago when I said this was a target that I was looking for. So I actually DCA'd in, and it shifted my position right over here, which is working out. I was underwater for a little bit, as you could see, but my DCA actually shifted wherever my position was down a little bit more. So that ended up working out pretty well. Now, the reason why I am making this video so late is because of this area that we're in. Now, I will say this first and foremost. Today was quite a ridiculous drop. So if I go over to the 1 hour chart, I mean, look at this move that it made. I believe we were like right over here. So let me measure up from here to here. Yeah, we were like, I don't know, I think close to an 8-9% drop. But on Ethereum, on the other hand, Ethereum took a really crazy ride. Again, of course, Ethereum is going to take that ride. We took about almost I think it was actually this line right here. I think we took somewhere like a between 18 and 20% drop, something like that, and we're starting to recover a little bit. But this was in the matter of, since yesterday. Okay, so I wanted to go over a couple things because I tell you what, I am feeling very, very bullish on these charts, and the reason why is because let's go take a look at these charts and see exactly what's happening right now. Right, so this is kind of like fresh. First of all, if you notice, this was the candle right here that I was looking to be taken out. All right. And it came down and actually touched this zone here. This candle wasn't taken out, though. In order for it to be taken out, it actually needs to come a little bit below that. But this is sufficient enough, right? So now that I've got this long that's in this area, what I'm looking for is I'm hoping that it starts to kind of like build some strength on the zone, come over here, test this, kind of work its way, whatever, and then kind of break this up to the higher side, right? So that's what I'm looking at right now. Now, this is resistance, this line. Bing! This line is resistance right now. The same thing goes with this down here. This is now support. Okay, the reaction that it got off of here is support. So if it does come back down here and it kind of fills out the candle, taking this guy out over here, yeah, I will continue building my long because I do feel that this is a really good area to kind of do anything, actually. So yeah, like I said before, I know where A and B is, right? I know where A and B is. I don't know what's going to happen in between, there. So this can do something like this if it wants to. I have no idea, but I do know this area right here is my target for support. So if I take profit over here and then, it comes over, bounces over here, I take some profit over here, definitely in this zone, and it comes back down, then I would be looking to kind of rinse and repeat, take some of this profit and throw it back into this zone right over here if we get there, right? Now, I wanted to go over exactly what's happening in this. First of all, I made this target quite some time ago. It took some time to get there, but it did, okay? And now I feel like the chart is completely balanced, okay? The left side and the right side is starting to feel a whole lot more even, right? And there's a reason why, like, maybe there's a question where it's like, why does the charts need to be balanced? Well, what happens is when you buy into a chart, right, somebody has to take profit. You're basically going from one hand, right, to another. That's what's happening. And when this actually transfers over to somebody else, this guy's got more power, so he starts throwing it into the chart, right? And then you're trying to, now when you're underwater and the chart decides to go up, yeah, you're going to take profit, and it's just going to kind of be rinse and repeat all over again, right? So what happens is that when somebody loses money, someone gains money, and when somebody gains money, sometimes they just act a little bit foolish, and then they end up losing the money, right? So what happens is anyone who gained over here, right? Anyone who made profit over here, they took their money. They took it, right? And then they probably threw it back in. They made some more money and they took that money. And now, they took some more money, whatever. And now, dude's stacking. So, we can pump it right back up. So usually when there's an imbalance, they have to be filled. And this right here is an imbalance. And even though, this happened in, sometime between June and July, it still becomes a very relevant point of target later on. Okay? So you see this candle here? This candle can create a wick, and the chart can run rampant. It can completely run rampant. But if this candle ends up being longer than this candle, well, then people lost some money here, and the chart will eventually come back down to kind of kind of fill that part of it, right? So that's what happens. Okay, that's it in a theory, right? So okay, so I think I got my ground. So first, I had a short in this area, and I have now 100% completely closed out of this short. So I am no longer in this short. And what this short ended up doing was it helped me to find my position here for my long, especially on Ethereum, because what happened is as this was going down, I'm making money, right? And as this starts going up and struggling, I have a hedge that's working where I don't really need to lose that much if I took a hit. Right? So if I ended up getting stopped out for some reason, then this short would have filled in that and basically washed out anything that I was doing. And that helped me out because on Ethereum did this really nasty move. Now again, a nasty move is the way that Ethereum does things lately. But I wanted to show you where it bounced. Okay? This right over here is an order block. It is such a tiny little order block, but this was the previous range, right? And this was the previous range resistance, and it broke out of that. And one of the things that I mentioned before is that when we break out of a range, right, not only does this become support, but it ends up becoming retested. Like, it gets retested somewhere along the way, right? So this is where it retested, right over here. Now, I didn't think it was going to drop so low. I mean, like, it's a pretty big drop from where it was over here, So I thought what was going to happen was, I thought maybe it would bounce right over here first, right? Because it just, it's kind of like take a little bit of a break, right? But it didn't. Ethereum went full force. So I actually did take a long in this section. I was stopped out, and then I ended up taking a long in this section right over here. And again, you can see exactly where it bounced. It makes sense. So now if you're looking at this in a sense of like balance, right? This whole side here is now balanced with the head and shoulders, right? That's exactly what it looks like. It looks like a head and shoulders. So this is balanced. So where do we go from here, right? Well, I'm hoping that we start to work our way back up, because this now, to me, is the big range, right? This is the big range. So if it finds some support over here, then we can work our way back up, right? And especially if we get in this section right over here again, then I think we are definitely moving up. So what I'm looking at right now is, first of all, this is a big wick. Of course, wick theory plays a role, right? I was looking for this candle to be taken out, and this is now 100% mitigated. Right? Also, this candle is completely mitigated. This candle here, that it basically wiped anybody out that had a long. And I had a long here at one point. I actually took all my profit. I believe I took it up here somewhere, right? So if I was still in that long thinking that we were going sky high without taking any profit, yeah, I'm stopped out now. But if you notice, it's creating a brand new wick here. right? So again, the wick theory kind of like plays a role here, but it doesn't have to get filled right now. It can actually build enough strength as a liquidity grab to move forward, right? Because now this retest is solidified. Now, if we come back down into this range, I'm going to do the same thing that I'm planning on doing on Bitcoin, which is really building my long a little bit higher, right? So I've already taken profit on this. I took a long at 10x, and I believe I got 60% profit on this, and I'm hoping that, I get some more. But again, like as I get, I don't really need to go that high. I mean, I can get over here, but if we hook over here and we start going up, I'm in a good spot, right? But it could very well come back down here and try to take me out. So in that case, I'm going to, try to stack it up one more time. So that is what I'm looking at, okay? So let me be clear about this. I'm looking for this to come back over here and build some strength and work its way back up for Ethereum. Especially now, I feel like it's got a really great opportunity to do so, okay? Bitcoin, as far as like, where we are on this, what I would love to see is it grab some strength over here, work its way over here, get rejected, kind of like play the fiddle a little bit, maybe even come back down here and then work its way back up, right? So this is really the range that we are in. Nope, let me stretch that up a little bit. This is kind of like this is what I envision the range to be at this point. So now there's one other thing I wanted to talk about, which I think really kind of gives you this idea on how to think about these ranges, right? And why is it that I ended up choosing this area for a long, in the past versus this area for a long, okay? Well, honestly, it felt as though the chart was trying to wash some people out. Now, there is this kind of theory that I have. It's not a theory, but it's a visual, right? And if we are a bear, right? It's kind of cute. You can see this. If you're a bear, then what happens is if you're going to go in the opposite direction, the first thing a bear does is it needs to go up first before it ends up striking down, like so, right? So if it's a bear, that's what's going to happen. And if you notice, that's what happens over here. It completely overshot the top of the range as for a manipulated move, but it worked its way up for the bear to kind of kick in at the top of the range, right? On the other hand, there is this idea about bulls, right? And it's a pretty cool. Oh no, that's not it. Hold on. This is it right over here, right? So a bull has the same kind of striking action as a bear, except what it does is it goes down first in order to strike up, right? And that's what this candle right here does. So when I was looking at this area, I was thinking, well, how would a bear move versus a bull, right? If this is a bullish move, then it needs to overshoot down first and work its way up. So this is kind of a really neat way to think about the charts, especially, when you're trying to plan what you want to do. Now, even though I've got this area here as a long, I still overshot. And again, it's because of this action for a bull. And the same thing went for this over here. I went like this to go down, right? This is we went up to go down, right? So that's the motion that's there. So hopefully you can see this visual, because it's not about. It's about you trying to remember these theories when FOMO starts to kick in. When you feel like, hey man, like, was that good enough of a move? Like, it can't go down anymore. Of course it can go down. But it just means that the bull strike will be even harder once it does turn around. And the same thing goes with a bear. The higher it goes, the more stretched out a bear makes on a stretch, the harder it's going to go the other side. So it's just a little bit of a visual for you to see. Now, the last thing I want to do is I want to go take a look at this S&P 500. And you could see, like last we left off, I was saying that it's feeling topped, and it definitely, it filled up those gaps that I was looking at before. And the gaps are really similar to, wicks and everything like that. So what I'm looking for in this is I'm looking for I'm looking for, if it is changing direction, I'm looking for something like that, where it starts doing this and then work its way down, right? It can do it in a V shape. I'm not really sure, but you know, if it starts to range out like this now, like this is telling, and it could pop up one more time as if it was the bear kind of kicking in and then going down from there, right? So I think we've got a little bit more juice in the S&P as far as I go like range bound, but I think like, you know, honestly, it feels like it needs to retrace a bit. There's just too much airtime going on here. A lot of people made a lot of money, and I think once it's time to break those supports, I think it's just going to be a rampage, right? Now, on the other hand, I did want to look at these alts, right? Because now these alts are starting to feel like, you know, some of them are really filling out this wick here, and they're starting to, let me see here. Let's go to another one here. You know, they've moved down a little, on some of them have moved down, you know, big time. But here's the thing. I'm starting to feel like, I mean, it should have come down here if you think about it, right? It should have come down here by this point. The fact that these alts, even though they've taken a dive down, some of them are kind of staying in this range, is showing to me that there might be a little bit of strength in these alts, right? And you know, even though it's taken a very hard hit down, I want you to keep in mind that if it is a bear that's going down, right, and the strike is over, the bull is just going to strike as hard, right, because we took that dip and we'll work our way up. So anyway, that's something to keep in mind. I mean, I'm still feeling really bullish. I feel like there's a lot of gas in this tank, man. And, you know, we're just starting out November. It's November 4th. And, you know, we very well could play this range for a little bit longer. So the idea is that we do get back into this range and play it a little bit more, right? And if we do kind of like get to this other side and break it, well, holy bananas, right? So anyway, thanks a lot, guys. I hope you're playing it safe. If you're looking to, you know, get into a spot because you missed the move or anything like that, again, this is my target for the long, okay? The chart can very well come and stop me out, so this is the target still, even though like you didn't really miss anything. If the chart is going to find some support over here and work its way up, what's the difference if you got in over here, right? What's the difference? So what I'm saying is to pay attention. Definitely pay attention. This is the zone. If we break below this target, then yeah, we have to reassess, you know? That's what we have to do. We just have to reassess. But right now, so far, all of the plans have been following through, and I'm feeling very, very positive in kind of where we are in the charts, especially the idea that, you know, this might have reset some things. Anyway, all right, guys, have a good one. Talk to you soon. Bye.